I'd like to introduce Kelly Alexander, founder of Operation Remount. After more than 22 years in the military service, Kelly discovered an unexpected path to healing through the Mustang named Indy. Facing the challenges of traumatic brain injury and PTSD, Kelly found renewal and purpose in the partnership with his horse. That experience led him to found Operation Remount, a program connecting veterans and first responders with Mustangs as a pathway to recovery. His work is a powerful testament to the healing bond between human and horses and the second chances both can offer each other. And co-founder is Karen Alexander, joining that mission, whose medical expertise and compassion helped guide Operation Remount's impact. At the same time, she is a national leader in equine protection policy, working directly with legislators and coalitions to advance laws like the SAFE Act and to combat horse slaughter. Her work reminds us that healing, whether the people or horses, require both heart and action. So, take it away.
All right, thanks everyone for letting us be here today and talk about our program. So, are you able?
I'm gonna change it so we can see your presentation.
Okay, perfect. We'll just dive on in.
All right, there you go.
Okay, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we are.
Okay, let me give it to you. Okay, everybody see that okay?
Perfect.
All right, well, I just wanted to welcome everyone to our discussion about Operation Remount, also called...
Wait, no, sorry. Hang on. Okay.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah. I'm just gonna move this over to the blank spot. We're still right to the blank
Okay.
spot. Okay, go ahead. We're set.
All right. So we are located in the unincorporated community of JM, Wyoming. That is the southwest region of the state. We have a population of 14, so it's a very, very tiny area. But it's very beautiful, and our participants love to come and unplug and be in nature, so it's really great for them. So who we are a nonprofit 501c3. We began planning our nonprofit in 2019, 2020, and officially had our first program in May of 2021. So we're dedicated to helping military veterans and first responders work through things like anxiety, depression, and other PTSD symptoms. Last research I looked at, 7% of all U.S. veterans will experience post-traumatic stress disorder in their lifetime. That's a pretty large percentage. It's a lot higher rate than the general population. And of course, though, these rates do vary significantly by service era, by gender. Up to 29% of veterans from Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom experiencing PTSD. So with that particular population, it is a lot higher. Approximately 1 in 3 first responders develop behavioral health conditions, including depression and PTSD, also significantly higher than the general population. When you think about many of these first responders, many of them can experience 400 to 600 traumatic events in their career, in their lifetime career. That's compared to only 2 to 3 events for an average person. So, of course, this leads to higher rates of suicide, substance abuse, and relationship issues. Now, we particularly use Mustangs for our program, and we're going to dive in a little bit deeper to explain why we do that, okay? All right. So the why behind the program, and you heard a little bit of Kelly's backstory. He has served over 22 years in the Army and the Army National Guard. He deployed multiple times throughout his 22 years throughout the world. His last deployments were Iraq and Afghanistan. And it was really evident after Afghanistan that Kelly really experienced PTSD. He also suffered a traumatic brain injury. However, he continued to serve in the military until 2018. Due to symptoms related to PTSD and the traumatic brain injury, he no longer felt like himself. And symptoms began to affect his self-esteem and his personal relationships. He spent a lot of time and effort working on healing. He participated in all the modalities that the VA had to offer, including counseling, medications, cognitive behavior therapy, yoga, exposure therapy, and that's just a few. Nothing seemed to work for him. So I encouraged Kelly to think outside the box and beyond the therapies of what the VA offered. And I am not discounting the VA and their efforts. They do a great job. Just the things that Kelly worked with them just weren't working for him. And it's just the way it was. Well, while he was in the waiting room for a VA appointment, he was reading a magazine with an article about Mustang for veteran programs through the Mustang Heritage Foundation. The VA at that time would not or could not recommend horse therapy, so he sought out that program on his own.
Right.
The Mustangs for Veteran program that he went to was not intended to be therapeutic. It was just simply a pathway to get Mustangs out of holding and into permanent homes. And so they worked on this program to offer them to veterans. But anyway, when Kelly went to this program, he actually had what he calls an aha moment. Because during his experience, he learned some key strategies for healing. Kelly will talk a lot about being centered, grounded in the moment. He found out this, although the VA had talked to him about being centered, grounded, and in the moment, Kelly could not grasp those concepts. What does that look like? What does that feel like? It was really hard for him to understand. But while he was working with Indy, he started to understand those concepts, because here you have this big wild animal that can do some damage, if you did things wrong or whatever. So Kelly learned to keep things outside of that pen while he was with Indy. He had to be centered and grounded, and he had to be focused on what he was doing. Through this, he learned to maintain emotional stability, mental clarity, and physical and mental presence. And so Kelly felt like that if this Mustang, working with his Mustang, could do so much for him, then it could help others as well. And he came home from that program and he said, Karen, I want to do this for others. And so that was the spark that began Operation Remount. Okay. So, like Kelly, there are numerous others who are at high risk for anxiety, depression, and PTSD. High-risk occupations occupations for developing PTSD involve regular exposure to death, violence, severe injuries, high-stake emergencies. Military personnel have the highest risk, especially during time of war. Other high-risk jobs include police officers, firefighters, paramedics, EMTs, and even medical staff. And that really came to the forefront during COVID. I saw a lot, being in the medical field myself, I saw a lot of burnout with a lot of these medical professionals, whether there were nurses assistants, doctors, or whatever. I saw a lot of the burnout, the stress, the anxiety, the depression dealing with during the COVID pandemic. So we actually have a dual purpose. We don't just strive to help veterans and first responders. We're using Mustangs who have their own needs. So we pair the traumatized human with the traumatized Mustang so they can work together and help each other heal. We specifically concentrate on 3 strikers. Those are Mustangs who have been to 3 adoption events and did not attract an adopter. And it wasn't because there was anything wrong with the Mustang. It's just that there's many more Mustangs than there are potential adopters. And so because of this deficit, the Mustang loses his or her chance at another adoption after 3 tries. So these are the ones that we really focus on. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the Mustang and how they become traumatized. So the source of the Mustang's trauma. The first point of trauma is the roundup. Mustangs are rounded up for various reasons. According to the Bureau of Land Management, Mustangs are gathered primarily to control overpopulation, to protect rangeland health, and ensure the well-being of all animals. Without natural predators, herds can double every 4 to 5 years, leading to starvation, dehydration, and degradation of the public lands. Roundups are very traumatic for Mustangs. They involve high-speed helicopter chases over rugged terrain, often in the summer heat, and over long distances. This causes extreme physical stress, it can cause injuries, and of course, the mental stress. In the roundup traps, tight-knit family bands and herds are forcibly separated by age and gender. Wild horses, like all horses, are highly social, sentient beings, deeply attached to their family units, and forced separation causes significant mental trauma. So imagine a very herd-bound animal and being forced and taken away from their families and the lands that they know, and it causes some long-term psychological impact in that horse who's accustomed to freedom. They're forced into cramped, high-density holding corrals, which causes further mental stress. And then we get to the holding facilities. Many of the holding facilities are dusty, manure-filled. They lack shade. They lack windbreaks, kind of like this picture kind of shows here. So they're transitioning from a free-roaming life to confined, barren pens, which also causes psychological distress. Mustang holding pens often use lower quality, skinny, mature hay as a deliberate management strategy to prevent obesity and metabolic issues. We know that wild horses are used to eating a lot on those lands. And although they often thrive on lower calorie, high fiber hay, dusty or moldy hay can cause respiratory issues or colic. And hay that is too mature or skinny or old lacks necessary nutrients that are needed for their health. The lack of social stimulation in Mustang holding pens is a critical issue that compromises the mental and physical well-being of wild horses accustomed to their complex herd dynamics. The confinement and inability to form, maintain, or move within a natural herd structure results in boredom and also mental stress. There is also a severe lack of positive stimulation in holding pens, which leads to mental and physical health issues for the horses. This overcrowded environment causes boredom, stress, and behavioral problems, a lot of times with these Mustangs. With over 60,000, I'm not sure of the exact number today, but I know there's at least over 60,000 animals in holding. The system is overwhelmed. Many horses spend the rest of their lives in these small dirt pens without access to grass or trees. And despite federal protection, some adopted Mustangs do end up in the slaughter pipeline, with some adopters, selling them to slaughterhouse brokers. And this is another reason why we focus on the 3 strikers. 3 strikers are very cheap to acquire, and they don't have the same recommendations or expectations of somebody who's doing an adoption. They don't have the same oversight. So these 3-striped Mustangs are really at great risk of being placed into slaughter. So we're going to talk a little bit about the reciprocal healing. So veterans and first responders find emotional regulation, trust, and purpose by bonding with the wild horse, while the horse gains trust in the human by fostering mutual nonverbal connection and emotional release. So key aspects of reciprocal healing include, first, there's shared vulnerability. Wild horses are highly perceptive due to their own tendencies toward anxiety and distrust. This similarity allows for a unique, empathetic bond where veterans feel understood, but yet not judged, because that horse is not going to judge that human. They're going to accept that human where they are. There's a mutual calming effect. So as veterans work to calm their own energy to avoid startling a horse, they learn to regulate their own nervous systems, which in turn, of course, calms the horse. There's trust and communication. So working with these horses requires honest, clear communication. This allowing veterans to rebuild trust in others and in themselves. Therapeutic outcomes benefits include reduced PTSD symptoms, lower anxiety, increased self-esteem, and improved emotional resilience. So these horse and human come together and help each other. Okay, so a little bit more about our program. Like I said, we're located in JM, Wyoming. The program is 6 weeks long. We provide free lodging and meals the whole time that our participants are with us. We have both didactic learning in the classroom and then hands-on learning with the horse. Participants receive 3 free meals a day along with snacks and drinks throughout the day. On weekends, we don't cook, but they do have leftovers, or they can prepare their own meals because each veteran in their housing do have the capability to cook with stoves and refrigerators and things like that. We also encourage participants to be tourists on the weekends, enjoy what Wyoming has to offer or some of the surrounding states. This kind of gets them out to unplug and, for stress relief and those kinds of things. During the program, each participant is expected to take full responsibility for their Mustang. So that means they are feeding them, watering them, cleaning, mucking stalls and walkouts, or performing any other care the horse may need beyond gentling that horse. We believe this is very important in the bonding process. It allows their Mustang to see their human as a trusted caregiver. At the end of the program, the Mustang is gifted to the participant to continue their lifelong bond. The only thing that we have not been able to provide for the veterans and first responders at that time is travel. So they are responsible for traveling to and from JM to attend the program. Okay, so the learning experience. First, we're going to kind of talk about the learning experience for the human. Being grounded in the moment means feeling mentally stable, present in the moment, and emotionally secure, rather than overwhelmed by anxiety or racing thoughts. It involves a sense of calm, increased focus, and a physical connection to one's body and one's surrounding. We do a lot of different things to kind of help people learn how to be grounded. The horse is very great on helping us ground. We all know about how a lot of times the horse can match our energy, our heart rate, those kinds of things. So we do a lot of different techniques to help bring that human down to be calm and centered, and also allow the horse to be calm and centered. Being present in the moment is feeling connected to the current moment, not stuck in the past or panicked about the future. There's been plenty of research that proves that humans are happiest when we're in the present. How many times are you in the present? Very, very little time of your day is in the present, because you're either thinking about the past or you're worrying about the future. So we really try to work on, these Mustangs really help us to be in the present, because you have to be there in order to work with these horses successfully. So the benefits are feeling in control of your body, having steady nerves, the ability to handle stress and unexpected challenges without becoming overwhelmed. By simply practicing these strategies, what happens is that repetitive practice strengthens and reorganizes brain pathways through neuroplasticity. So we all know that in our brain, we develop these pathways, and sometimes our pathways are very unhealthy. It's like an alcoholic who is learning to not be an alcoholic. You have to rebuild those positive pathways, and the more you use those positive pathways, you're gonna go to that pathway faster and more naturally than in the past. So your frequently fired neurons create more permanent connections, and this process increases speed and efficiency in learning new skills and forming new habits. And like I said, there is didactic learning in the mornings for the first few weeks with hands-on learning in the afternoon. And then weeks 3 through 6, it's all hands-on learning with the horse. During the classroom, participants learn Mustang facts and safety, horse behavior, horse health and care, among other topics. Hands-on learning focuses on pressure and release, trust and friendship, and positive reinforcement, all while practicing being grounded and centered. With pressure and release, the participant applies a slight aversive stimulus or pressure and immediately removes it or releases when the horse offers the desired behavior. The release provides comfort or relief, teaching the horse to seek that comfort by complying with requests. This technique is essential for building trust, communication, and responsiveness to very light cues. Positive reinforcement involves adding a desirable stimulus, such as treats or scratches, immediately after correct behavior. That's to increase the likelihood of it recurring. This method builds trust and confidence and voluntary engagement. Trust and friendship are developed through consistent, calm leadership, mutual respect, and clear communication, turning training into a partnership rather than a forced obedience. We want to build a bond which involves spending quality time with the Mustang outside of training, understanding horse body language, and providing comfort during fearful situations. During the 6 weeks, the participants and Mustangs work on accepting the halter and lead rope, practicing groundwork, learning to navigate obstacles, learning to give feet in preparation for hoof care, and practicing loading and unloading in a trailer. So we're just going to kind of go through first touch. This is a very special and emotional and sometimes magical moment because it signifies the transformation from a fearful, prey-driven animal into a trusting partner. It represents an earned consensual bond built on patience, overcoming instinctual fear, and mutual understanding. It is amazing to see this first touch happen with our participants. A lot of our veterans and first responders, when they come to us, they're very reserved, they're quiet, they're have low self-esteem a lot of times. And just to see the smiles and the boost of confidence that these folks have when they finally get that Mustang to trust them, to touch them, it is very magical. The next thing is removing the tag is another magical moment. It is a rite of passage, I would say. It signifies that the Mustang is no longer just an inventory number, but is now a named individual with a future. So, and often these people keep that tag as a memento of hard work and partnership that they built between them and the horse. And then next, they work on the halter. Getting a halter on a Mustang for the first time can be very challenging and can be frustrating. This process solidifies the need to be patient, grounded, and centered. The horse mirrors emotions, and when the human is nervous, anxious, or rushing, the horse picks up on this energy, leading to stress, restlessness, and even more difficulty in accepting the halter. This is the first time a formerly wild horse allows something to be placed over its head, ears, and nose, which are areas where they are naturally defensive. This is when we start to see a mental shift, when the Mustang moves from raw survival instinct to a mental state where it begins to think and respond. We have found that after this difficult task, the Mustangs and humans begin to progress rather quickly after that. They really become partners, and the trust is really, really grown by this one. So the lead rope, using the lead rope for the first time represents the first direct, controlled, and safe connection between the human and the horse. This initiates the vital trust building process and teaches the Mustang to turn a terrifying restraint into a mutual understanding of communication. So it's no longer that snake that's going to bite them. It's now just a mutual communication tool between human and horse.
Okay, we're about 5 minutes out.
Okay. All right, desensitizing is crucial for safety and training. It transforms their natural high alert wild instincts into a calm, confident state suitable for domestic life. By habituating Mustangs to foreign objects such as ropes, tarps, flags, and different scenarios, they move from a reactive flight mindset to thinking and a relaxed state. Similar to desensitizing, practicing obstacles is important for the Mustang to build confidence, trust, and mental calmness. This training enhances physical coordination, balance, and body awareness while providing mental stimulation that reduces boredom. It prepares the horse for real-world scenarios, thus improving safety. And then finally, almost finally, loading and unloading is practiced numerous times during the last week. It's an exciting time. It signifies and prepares for travel to their new home. It is very important that we practice this a lot to reduce stress and prevent injuries and ensure safety. So we do the regular calm practice to build confidence, turning a potentially frightening enclosed space into familiar, positive, or neutral environment, which prevents panic-induced resistance and improves overall trailer manners. And then finally, of course, it's the graduation. The veterans and first responders receive a frame certificate and a buckle. The awards symbolize the patience and efforts that these men and women put in over the 6 weeks and serves as a reminder of their accomplishments. So that is Operation Remount. I'm going to stop share here. All right, can you see us?
Yeah, that worked out perfect, and thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
And thank you, because I know that they're getting their new team in, and I know they carved out this little neat time for us today, so we really appreciate that, both of you guys. And I hope this next session goes fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us, and you guys have a great day.
Thank you, bye-bye.